Grow your cleaning business. Make more money. Have more time. This is the Profit Cleaners Podcast with your hosts, Brandon Condry and Brandon Shane.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Profit Cleaners. I am Brandon Shane, your host, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Brandon Condry.
And today we're going to be talking about an amazing episode we did early in the day. It was Pandemic Pivots, episode 6, actually. We did right kind of in the midst of the pandemic. But anyways, guys, if you're getting value out of these podcasts, before we dive into that, please hit that like, please hit that subscribe button. It'll help us a ton and help you get the fresh content that we're delivering on a weekly basis. So you get free, fresh value and new ideas, new inspiration to keep growing your cleaning business. That's why we're here, so you can learn from the top 1% of cleaning business owners from around the world and keep growing. So when we did this episode, Brandon, it was literally like in the midst of the pandemic.
Peak pandemic. We're at tail pandemic right now, I hope. But peak pandemic. And one of the things that everyone was talking about that became very hard to get was electrostatic spray guns.
Absolutely. So we bought a few of these. We tested them out. We're going to talk about them in this episode. One of them was the Protexis. One of them was the... What was the other one?
No, with the other one was Victory, but it's the same company. So it's the same thing.
Got it.
So we bought this, I think, in early April. So that was like 2 weeks into schools being closed and everything being shut down. And I don't think we got it until August. So the back order situation was insane. And so we demo it for you. We talk about why we didn't end up using it. And so in the end, we're now a year later. We didn't use it. We didn't pivot to pushing people towards electrostatic spray guns, but there was a reason for that. And we follow up with that in a future episode of the podcast, but yeah.
Yeah, and if you go look around your town, I mean, even in our town, there's definitely businesses, more probably in the commercial space, that have really jumped into this market and pivoted into the electrostatic spraying, sanitizing, disinfecting. We talk about that as well in this episode.
Yeah, we do tell you the difference between cleaning, sanitizing, and disinfecting, and why you should position your cleaning company as doing one over all those three.
Yeah, and even though, guys, we haven't dove into this and pivoted completely this direction, it doesn't mean you can't still do this. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do this. There's still a great opportunity in a lot of markets, especially like places like restaurants and places that get shut down and need this thing.
Yeah, daycares, schools. It just wasn't applicable because we're only in residential. That's why we ended up not kind of going with it.
Right. And so if anything, just listen to the feedback from your customers. If a lot of people are asking about this kind of thing, then it's
jump on it.
Yeah, jump on it. We didn't have a whole lot of people asking. People just wanted to know. The main communication we communicated was, hey, it's going to be safe. We're coming in your home. We're wearing the right equipment. We're taking the proper procedures and things to keep you safe. So it gave them that peace of mind. And that was really all people wanted. They weren't like, and also can you bring the spray guns and do it? They weren't asking.
The spray gun's the best. I heard it kills HIV.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we talked about PPE. That's an important one, about how we added shoe covers and masks and all those things. And so all that's in there. So take a look.
Yeah. See how we pivoted. Maybe you guys can apply some of the same things, but hopefully we'll be coming out of this craziness soon, and we're still in it. But
any minute.
Yeah, so enjoy the episode. Enjoy the content, guys. And
keep it clean.
Keep it clean. Hey everybody, Brandon Shane, Brandon Condry in the house, back with another episode of the Profit Cleaners.
That's right, here we are.
And we are super excited today, guys, because we have some really cool new stuff to share with you. We're talking about, it's actually kind of a pandemic special, talking about pivots in your business, talking about tweaks you can be doing to kind of shift direction, shift gears during this crazy time of pandemic going on. And we're talking about electrostatic foggers, PPE, even some of our pivots into virtual estimates.
That's right.
A lot of good stuff in this episode, guys. So again, just right now we believe is the best time in history to start growing your cleaning business, or start one or grow one, whatever area you're in of growing your business right now. People are no longer buying cleaning, guys. They're actually buying peace of mind. They're buying confidence. They're buying clarity, certainty. They want to know what we're doing to take precautions to help keep them safe, right?
Yep, that's right.
So actually, it's a really cool time to be in the cleaning business with all that added uncertainty. there's an opportunity. There always is an opportunity. So that's the pivot we're going to be talking about. A new service, a new solution, whatever it might be for you. But our electrostatic sprayer just came in yesterday, Brandon?
Yesterday, yeah. Did a test run around the office. We'll give you all the nitty-gritty details, but it wasn't what I hoped it would be, is the short answer.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that, guys. We're going to be talking about should you get one of these cool sprayers, whatever they are, ULV, electrostatic. We're going to talk about the differences there. We're going to talk about one little known secret that we figured out yesterday that totally blew my mind, I think.
Yeah, that I think most people that are shooting for the electrostatics aren't aware of, and that I wasn't aware of until we made a couple phone calls. But
yeah.
We'll give you the knowledge on that one.
I mean, literally, it's crazy because these things don't work if you're not doing this one thing right. So
correct.
We want to make sure we're doing that and helping people at the highest level. We're going to talk about the difference between sanitize and disinfect and the different verbiage there and words people are talking about out there. So anyways, all this in the episode. Just some quick housekeeping as well. If you guys have not subscribed to the show yet, please hit subscribe. It helps us out a ton. Leave a review, also helps us out a ton. If you guys are getting any value out of this, a new idea, a new inspiration, whatever it might be, tell someone about the show or share it out there. Give us a like, give us a review, whatever it might be. We're not running a bunch of crazy ads just because we want to keep the content and the quality super high for you guys. So there's that. So before anything else we should cover, man?
Don't forget we got a Facebook group. You can find some social media stuff on there as well, so you can join in the conversation with other cleaning business owners, other listeners to the Profit Cleaners podcast, and trade ideas back and forth, and we'll jump in and add input, as needed.
Absolutely, guys. So find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're going to start getting more active on there too. Just putting out content everywhere to help you guys out. So let's jump into the show, guys. So are we ready? Let's jump in.
We're ready. Let's do it.
All right. So talking about pivots, talking about problems we're solving. Guys, what is the problem we're solving in our communities right now? I think that's the underlying question is, with everything going on, we can talk about more services and more cool gadgets and things we're doing, but people don't care about that. They care about what are we doing to solve their problem.
That's right.
Right? And that's the classic business entrepreneur thing anyways, is if you can solve a problem for someone, you have a business. You're in business. So we're just talking about another level, I guess, of solving these problems to talk about what we're doing. So
I mean, we're the pivot in general, like I guess from a sales perspective, you're not supposed to be selling the service, you want to sell the solution.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about adding on different solutions, perhaps.
Yeah, and it's really easy to be like, guys, check out this cool fogger electrostatic-y thing we have, and people are like,
cool, what
all
does
right,
that mean?
But what does that mean for me?
Yeah.
Right? And
if any of you saw The Wolf of Wall Street, there's a scene in there where he's trying to get him to sell him a pen, and they're in a diner. He says, sell me this pen. And one guy describes it as black and shiny and really cool, and the next guy does the same thing. And finally one of them says, sign your name on this piece of paper. And he says, I don't have a pen. And then that was the joke, is that they created the demand by telling him why they needed the pen. So another sales sort of thing that I had heard back in the day was that if you're selling drill bits, you're not telling them why the drill bit is awesome. You're selling them the whole. So that's what you want. You want to tell them what the solution is.
Absolutely, man. I like that. So we're talking about leadership here, guys. This is part of being a leader in your business and your community with everything going on. You have to talk about the solution, right? And talk about, instead of just posing things differently. So instead of talking about, hey, can we do this and this to your house with our cool thing? It's more like, hey, do you have a house that needs disinfecting? And like, is there a problem that you need solving? And that's what people are thinking about. And it's actually really easy right now to enter the conversation in people's minds, which is, as marketers, we're thinking about that all the time. Like, what is the pain someone's having, and how can we enter into that mindset and help solve that problem for them? So it's a really good time to be acting as a leader, to provide that clarity, forward movement, action, confidence. People want to know it's okay. Plenty of people are saying, hey, we're just going to give up. We're not going to do anything. A lot of cleaning competitors that we have doing the same thing. But guys, this is an opportunity to have a voice and to be a voice and be a leader in your community and do something different. And again, focus on the solution. Not about us. It's not about what you're doing, what your business is doing, which is great. I mean, it's good to communicate that stuff. But more importantly, it's about them, right? And we're not closing our business because we're providing this solution. And it's really, really helping people instead of just talking about cool gadgets and things that we're doing. So let's talk about the pivot. So what does that even mean, and why would we pivot during a time like this?
Pivot is like a Silicon Valley term in my mind. Like there's a startup, it's not working, we're going to switch to something else. And so there's apps that have done that in the past.
Right.
But in this case, what we're talking about doing is, all right, your cleaning service that you were offering before pre-pandemic was great. During the pandemic, it went down for whatever reason. So people were scared of strangers in their house, whatever it may be. So we did a couple kind of small pivots. So like you want to tell them the 3 kinds of pivots before we kind of launch into this?
So I mean, we kind of narrowed it down. There's probably more than this, but
it's 3 categories.
Some essential
of
ways, some basic ways that you're going to be able to pivot during this time is number 1, you're going to be able to change your marketing or your communication, your messaging, how you're talking to people, right? So maybe, like for example, we're no longer talking about claiming your weekend and get your time back. We're talking about disinfecting your house and preventing the spread and talking about keeping people safe and things like that. So number 1, changing your marketing messaging. Number 2, changing the solution you offer. So maybe there's a slight variance in what you're doing now, which is again what we're talking about here. And then the other one would be the person that you're serving. So maybe you're also branching out into commercial, or maybe you're also doing something additional to what you've been doing. That's just another pivot you could be doing right there.
Right. So we did all 3 basically. So like you said, with the marketing and the messaging, we switched to, we're not saving you time anymore. We're saving your health. Like it's all about disinfecting the house. The CDC recommends frequent sanitizing, and disinfecting, things of that nature.
Right.
The solution we changed was a couple-fold. So we added all the PPE. PPE is personal protective equipment. So we had videos out right away when things went crazy that we're wearing gloves. We had a bunch of masks made by a local tailor because you couldn't get the disposable variety at the time, and shoe covers. So we told them, this is what we're doing. We're trying to cover up our people as much as possible to keep you safe, to keep us safe. It all works. So that was the solution.
Right.
And then the person we changed it to, we're still marketing to homes, obviously. So that one didn't change, but we did add small commercial space. So if someone approaches us, we have a bunch of businesses that are in the same sort of warehouse area of town that we're in that kind of took us up, and it's mostly just that we're going to come in, wipe everything down for you on a schedule, and then the stuff that we use is an EPA registered viricide, so you know that you're good.
Right.
So that was kind of the stuff that we changed in the interim. But the one that we tried to do right away, and apparently so did everybody else, was the electrostatic sprayer. And so we had ordered it in March.
Long ago, man.
It was late March, and I bought it from a gym cleaning supply place because they were the only website I could find that would let me pay for it now and back order it for later.
Wow.
It took 5 months to get it delivered. But we got it delivered.
Crazy, man.
And so now we have it, and we've been waiting on this thing forever. It comes in a super fancy case. It looks really nice. The hardware looks nice. It just kind of disappoints on the deliver of the solution thing. So now we're kind of scrambling again.
And we don't want to bash any brands here. We just want to give you guys some honest feedback on here's what we found, and maybe we're gonna keep looking because maybe there's some other better options out there. But we've been learning some cool stuff about these. So.
So we'll just launch into it. We'll just give you the feedback on the sprayer. So the one that we bought is made by Victory. This one is rebranded as Protexus, which is it's a Victory sprayer. It looks exactly the same. So the hardware's the same. It is electrostatic. It's handheld, battery operated. The hardware quality seems decent. You can tell that they put a lot of effort into it. There's a couple areas where it really disappointed. One, the sanitizer that they supply it with, these little tabs that get dissolved into it. We can't get those for 12 weeks. So it came with 100 tabs. I used 5 to get the parts per million dilution they wanted for disinfecting, and sprayed a couple doorknobs and light switches around the office as a test. And I went through half of it in 5 minutes. So if we put this out into the market right now to try and test pricing, we're going to be able to hit 5 houses, and then we'll be out of the solution. And so we're not going to be able to get any more for 12 weeks because it's all on back order because everything is made in China.
Right.
So that became apparent right away. So what we did was we started doing some research, which, to be fair, we probably should have done back in March before we bought it, but we just jumped on whatever was available because it was crazy back then.
We were just taking action.
So the research we did was, all right, let's get to the bottom of the sprayers. You may have heard the term ULV. versus electrostatic. ULV stands for ultra low volume. All that means is that it's making a mist. It's not going to use a lot. It's like a garden hose versus a spray bottle. So the spray bottle would be the ULV in that comparison. So hand pump sprayers that like a exterminator would use are ULV sprayers. You can get motorized ULV sprayers. So what we have is technically a motorized ULV sprayer with this electrostatic add-on, basically.
Got it.
So ours has a little switch. You push the switch to turn on the electrostatic function. You pull the trigger to run the pump, and that pushes everything through a nozzle, which gives you the ULV part.
Right.
The nozzle itself has an electrical current going through it. That's what makes it electrostatic.
Right.
Where we fell short on this one is that you keep it 6 to 8 inches away from whatever you're spraying. The whole point of electrostatic is that you're not wasting material, and that because of the electric charge that the machine induced, it's going to stick to vertical surfaces or oddly shaped things.
Right.
The reason that gyms use it is that instead of you having to go through and like wipe down all the dumbbells at the end of the day, you just spray it with this stuff and it'll stick to it, no problem.
Right.
But our observations were that that doesn't happen. So like I was wearing shorts and I was testing it, holding it 6 to 8 inches away, and my legs are getting covered with the stuff that's just blowing down from gravity. So either the droplet size is too big, but I suspect it's that the electrostatic doesn't work. So okay, first we determined ULV versus electrostatic. So they're ULV, they're basically the same. It's just that the electrostatic has the charge and the ULV doesn't. All right, let's go hunt for an electrostatic one that actually works. We did a bunch of digging around online, and we came up with the version that plugs in, and this proves to be the difference. The battery-powered electrostatic sprayers, with any electrostatic solution, grounding the electrical current is crucial. And so the Victory one that we have has a little, they call it a grounding strap, but it's a metal bar that is facing your palm on the trigger. And so you're supposed to grip that, and that creates the ground. This creates a bunch of problems though.
Yeah.
Our people are wearing gloves while cleaning, so gloves are not conductive. They're rubber, so that's not gonna work.
Right.
They're wearing shoes, which is also usually gonna prevent you from fully grounding out. And if you were cleaning something that had a rubberized floor, like a gym or perhaps a kid's daycare play area, this also all prevents grounding. So this is why our electrostatic function didn't work. It'd be fun to do another test where we actually connect like a little metal wire to the grounding strap and then to a grounded piece of metal in the building, and see if it works any better.
So you're telling me, because I've been watching like videos of people, cleaning companies everywhere too, doing this, and it's exciting. We got this new gun. We have even like our competitors in the newspaper because they beat us to it, but they're not even actually grounded, maybe even doing what they think it's doing.
Right.
It's a major problem, man. It's not even electrostaticking the walls or whatever you're saying, right?
What it is doing is ULV, you're getting an ultra low volume spray of the disinfectant or the sanitizer, but it's just operating off of gravity. So it's gonna, we had sprayed it on a couple walls in the office and it'll run. Like if you had sprayed it too much in one spot, it'll go down. The idea is you do a quick pass with the electrostatic and it's supposed to hold it there, because all the sanitizers and disinfectants on the market to kill things have a contact kill time. So it can be certified to kill C. diff, which is a nasty bacteria in hospitals, but it has to stay put on the surface for 10 minutes to be able to do it. The electrostatic is supposed to be what makes that happen, but if the grounding doesn't work and it's not doing that, it's not going to stay for 10 minutes, so it's not going to do it.
Wow.
So that was a huge hole. That was a huge hole that we found.
Flaw. And like, I'm just wondering like how many people are so uneducated that don't even know this, and even companies that are taking advantage. I'm seeing so many posts online, even people asking about these, and people are very confused. They don't know the difference between ULV and electrostatic, and then on top of that, they're not even grounded. And we didn't know that until we
found this out. So the other thing that's happening right now too is that these Chinese companies have popped up out of the woodwork because the demand for these is skyrocketing. And so there are a number of brands which we'll just collectively call like the red backpack. So there are different sizes and shapes, but they all have the same battery thing that goes in the bottom. There's one switch to turn on the motor. There's another switch to turn on the electrostatic. It's a backpack. At the end, you have your nozzle thing. The nicer ones, it's actually like, it kind of looks like a pressure washer, and it has a little wand at the end, and it's adjustable. Those are the nicer ones.
Right.
The worst one we've seen, it looks like a leaf blower that they repurposed for this by running some liquid through it. And in the test video that we saw online, it's like pouring the fluid out of it. So if this is your sanitizer, we're wasting a ton of it. It has the potential to discolor carpets and clothing and damage surfaces. But the most egregious part of it was when the operator tilted the blower back, all this water came running out the back through the electric motor. So there's a huge chance of electric shock, I think. Not to mention it also suffers from the grounding issue as well.
Right.
So I would beware of any of those ones that pop up. If you Google electrostatic sprayer, they come up. There's one that's got great SEO that pops up right away, but then you go look at the product. It's the same thing. It's the same backpack. It's a no-name brand. It has electrostatic spray painted on it, but that doesn't really guarantee you anything.
Right. So there's all these products just popping out because there's such high demand for these, but you really got to do your research, and you also got to think about, like, we picked this one we got yesterday, and it's a handheld one, but it's so heavy. And even the backpack one we looked at, it's like 60 pounds, right?
I would take the backpack one over the handheld one because your body can at least do all the weight.
Right.
With the handheld one, and you've got it away from you at like a 90-degree angle to your body to try and get close to the wall, and you're moving back and forth.
Right.
It weighs, man, I don't know, 5 to 8 pounds, something along those lines.
Right.
And so that, as you're moving back and forth, your arm gets fatigued. So you're going to have to switch between arms a lot or take breaks. And it's not the solution we were hoping for.
Right. So, I mean, we're going to keep looking at it, guys. We're going to keep you updated on what we find as we test more of these units. I think a lot of people are, I don't know, they're more cognizant and more aware of, obviously, viruses and disinfecting. And so I think it's definitely a good pivot. I think it's something people are going to want. It's just, can we deliver the product, in an efficient way that actually works and
in a moral way? Like, I didn't lie to you. Like, I told you that it was electrostatic and it's going to get behind all the things that we can't reach because of the electric charge. But then we come out there and it didn't do it. So in the worst case scenario, someone's going to come back to you very upset because they can trace a COVID exposure to your lack of electrostatic. I think that's really, really low probability. But in the end, we're not delivering what we are promising. And so people are making these super slick ads about our cleaning company has these electrostatic sprayers. They're marketing to daycares and stuff. But it's not actually sanitizing anything, which is super upsetting.
Yeah.
The one we did zero in on, and the one that we're going to hopefully be able to get a hold of soon, is actually produced by Clorox. And so it's called Total 360, I think. We're not sponsored by anybody. There's no affiliate marketing, but this is the one that we're going to try next. It's pricey. Like, I'll tell you that up front. So like the Victory one that we bought was $800. It took 5 months to get here. We could have bought it right away and got price gouged on eBay for $5,000 for these little handheld ones. Imagine paying $5,000 for that, getting it, and then being so upset. You can look at reviews for the Victory online. The Clorox one is anywhere between $3,500 and $7,000 is what I found online. So we have a local distributor that we're going to try and contact to get a hold of it. This thing is a floor model. Like, it's a handle. It's on casters. You roll it around, but it plugs in. So the grounding is key. So the grounding is grounded to the electrical outlet, like the whole building is, and that's where you get the grounding.
Got it.
And then the other thing that we learned from talking to the Clorox people was that if you don't own the chemistry, the chemical that's going through the system, then you also run into a problem. So Clorox knows exactly what they're putting in there, and the chemical is designed to have an electrical charge applied to it. Some chemicals, depending on what you're putting in there, like the Victory just says, put in desired liquid. That's all it says. But you run into problems. Like, by applying electrical charge, you may actually change the molecular nature of the sanitizer and make it completely inoperable. So like now it just does nothing.
Yeah.
In the worst case scenario, you might change it to be toxic, where now people can't go into the room because you altered it and it has to be vented for an hour or something like that, like a hydrogen peroxide sort of fogger.
Wow.
So Clorox guarantees that their stuff is safe with the electrical charge. So it does seem to be like the complete package. We're just trying to get a hold of it to check it out.
And is that still like green? Because I think of Clorox, I'm like bleach, and we're a green company. Can we do that?
I mean, from a green standpoint, it's probably not ideal. But one of the only things that's like approved to has FDA approval to kill COVID is what's called the N list. The FDA has the EPA has a document called the N list, and basically the only things on it are Clorox and Lysol. Those are the ones that have been approved to do it. And they're nasty, but like if the goal is to, if you got a customer who was sick and now that they're getting over it, they're a recovered case, we're going to come in and like really disinfect the house. I'm assuming they want the stuff that we know is going to work. So I don't think that the Clorox stuff would technically apply as environmentally friendly, but because of the electrostatic nature of it, we're not applying buckets of it. It's just a tiny amount applied to surfaces. So we'll learn more about the chemistry once we're able to actually get a demo unit in.
Yeah, I think the other one we were looking at with Jeremy, it was interesting because you said you can actually produce the chemical.
Yeah, so this one is...
which is a major problem. If you run out of it, like you said, now we can't service houses, you know?
Correct. So this one is actually hypochlorous acid. And what's interesting about this is that you take salt water, you put it in this machine, it does electrolysis on it, which means it applies an electrical current, and it's going to generate it from water and salt. It's basically a precursor to bleach. So this is more environmentally friendly than your Clorox style stuff. But this is one of those situations where we don't own the chemistry that's going into the gun. Like, it's not necessarily been approved for electrostatic use. So it's good from an environmental impact standpoint, and you can make it yourself out of common household ingredients, which is great. And even better, you don't have to pay to have it shipped to you in an already made form. You're generating it from a machine, which is awesome. But if we can't find an electrostatic sprayer that'll play nice with it, then it kind of defeats the purpose. So more testing is required is basically what we're after, but we just wanted to let everybody know that the electrostatic sprayers that you tend to find all over the place are not ideal for what most people are trying to pitch them as.
And do you remember the name of did you already say the name of the red backpack one with Jeremy?
So it doesn't have a name. It's one of those Chinese companies, which is the problem. Like, it is the red backpack. It's basically unbranded, and they set up a factory just for this. They're cranking them out at 300 a week or whatever it is. So the nice thing is the supply is there, which is fantastic. But if it's not doing what I want it to do, then it kind of defeats the purpose completely. So it's, who knows, man.
The other thing I kind of didn't like, and apparently this is what you have to like wipe down the areas and do your normal sanitizing, disinfecting with your normal cleaning, so that when you do spray it, it can activate or something like that. I've read this. So.
Yeah, so this is kind of the difference between cleaning, sanitizing, and disinfecting. So cleaning is the removal of debris. So someone physically came in there and wiped away dirt, hair, food particles, whatever. So the surface is now clean in the sense that we've removed pieces of dirt and stuff. Sanitizing is basically reducing the amount of bacteria that the chemical claims to reduce. So the chemical that we use is, a viricide, but it's also a sanitizer. And so the claim that it says that it will kill 99.9% of bacteria and viruses. That's like almost all of it. But there's a further sort of level, which is disinfectant, and that destroys everything. Disinfectants tend to be a bit...
it's more for the virus side of things, too.
Yeah. But they're like, the chemicals are like a bit more hardcore. You'll find some in hospitals, they're called quaternary disinfectants. They use ammonia, and it is nasty stuff. These are the things that you need like OSHA classes for to be able to properly use without hurting yourself, like by inhaling it. So those are kind of the gradated levels there.
And I just noticed, even if you do that though, like we were spraying on all sorts of surfaces, testing it out, and it does leave, I know we were a little close on some parts, but like it does leave a weird residue.
It's a residue, yeah. So we had sprayed it on a mirror just to see, like, is it going to completely evaporate? Because like if you're pitching this towards a daycare or even a gym, we're going to spray it on the weights every day. If you do that every day, eventually that residue is going to build up. And depending on the type of chemical, like, okay, I grabbed this dumbbell, I did a couple presses, and then I rubbed my eye, and that residue burns, that's gonna happen. And if you're in a kid's setup where you're trying to disinfect toys or blocks or something, and that's gonna happen more and more. So I don't know that the electrostatic setup for that is necessarily ideal. We look forward to testing this other one, which will hopefully have smaller droplet sizes and actually stick, so we're not having to spray it to the degree that generates the residue. I think that's the compromise.
Right. So, guys, we're going to keep testing these. There's a lot of variables, a lot of things to think about. It's kind of, crazy because these are expensive, these units and stuff like that. But just wanted to share a quick story. I don't even have this on here to talk about. But in our Facebook group just the other day, a woman posted, actually would love to have her on the podcast here and soon and just talk about more her story. But just to show you guys the power of this, she basically, her pivot was very close to using this, like an electrostatic type product. I think she said her revenues were down to like $6,000 a month right when the pandemic hit, all the chaos. Just like us, we were down quite a bit in our revenues. And then, after introducing the electrostatic, creating a new service for that as an upsell, she's back up to like almost $30,000 a month in her revenues. And it's just from a pivot, guys, just pivoting and just, again, leading in your market and telling people what you're doing. And so I think just that's a great example. We'll try to get her on the podcast here soon. But guys, that's what we're doing. That's what you should be doing. Just thinking about these pivots and what you can do to, keep leading in your market and keep providing solutions for people. So again, I guess we'll just kind of close out a couple more things. I just thought people were asking a lot of questions about pricing and how much to charge for this kind of thing. And guys, that's all over the place. I know in our market, even one of the guys we work with pretty closely, he's been doing this for a while with ULV sprayers, and he's charging somewhere in the 40 cents per square foot range he's doing a lot more commercial. But when we were looking around, there's all sorts of examples. So some people are charging hourly rates, $50 to $100 an hour, plus the cost of supplies and markup. Some people are charging 40, 50 cents a square foot, or even more, like if it's a post infected clean or whatever, an emergency clean. Some people are charging $1 or $2. I wouldn't recommend price gouging, but I'm just saying, guys, every market's going to be different. Have another person we saw up in Colorado, 75 cents a square foot. The bigger the square foot, the lower the rate, obviously. So
we'll put it in the show notes basically. So we got a couple examples from people that we talked to, but there's hourly, there's low ends where you're trying to lowball each other off of the competition. It's just all over the place. So we'll give you kind of a couple examples that we had seen from around the country.
Right.
And then you can kind of make up your own mind there.
Right.
In our mind, when we were talking about electrostatics, I wanted it to be an easy upsell to the existing customer base. Not that we would go out and promote super heavily that we're going to come spray daycares and like elementary schools and stuff, but more that hey, your normal house cleaning is scheduled next Tuesday. Do you want to do this whole home disinfecting as a $150 add-on? That, in my mind, is what we're shooting for. But again, until we figure out how much we're spending on these machines, $99 makes sense if we're spending $500 on the machines. But if it doesn't work, then we need to buy the one that's $5,000 and then see where we're going to price it there. So this will change the metrics on it, but we'll figure it out.
Right. So yeah, guys, we'll post all that in the show notes here. And then also, a lot of people, even ourselves, wondering what do we do for COVID cleaning? This is totally new. And so there really isn't a whole lot of stuff out there, but we did find through the traditional ISSA site. I don't even know what that stands for.
Yeah, ISA. I also don't know what it stands for, but they run the biggest trade show related to cleaning, and it's a big global one. And I think it's a lot of janitorial companies for the most part, but it is the industry. It is the industry trade show for cleaning, and they have an online certification that you can do that kind of teaches you what you need to do.
Yeah, and it's just for COVID cleaning specifically. So we'll link that in the show notes, guys. Check that out as well. And I think that's pretty much it, guys. We just wanted to give you an update on pivots and things we're doing differently. Also, just real quick, Brandon, touch on the virtual estimates, so how we're kind of pivoting.
Yeah, so that was one of my business coaches had asked, she gave the example of Walmart and Target are not going to do Thanksgiving Day sales anymore. They're using the pandemic as the excuse, but she suspects that they would have done that a long time ago. Yeah. And she asked us in the group, what can you use the pandemic as an excuse as to pivot to or to change in the business? And we had kind of already done it, but we were doing in-person estimates for the longest time. We would you set an appointment. I will come to your house, walk through it with you so you can point out anything specific and go through it. I was driving 100 miles a day when we were fully booked out on those. And so the pandemic kind of forced our hand. We were looking to get away from those in-person ones, and the pandemic was like, do it now. And so we did. So perfect. We set up virtual estimates. We changed our website such that when they're booking the appointments through Calendly, they can choose to have a Zoom video conference. And then what we do there is I'm in the office, I'm at my computer, the customer's on the other side, they're on their phone, and then they can walk me around their house just like I would have done when I was there, and I can still observe things that I would have done, like, man, that bathroom's really dirty, we're going to up the price. Or what I find, which is really beneficial just because customers like it a lot, is that you had some, military regalia stuff on the wall. And so now that I know that you're in the service, we will offer you the veterans discount. And I apply that, I just do it. I say, hey, while I was in here, while you're walking around, I saw that you are, in the National Guard, so we're going to give you this 10% discount. And people are just super psyched that we were paying attention.
Right.
It also has crazy knock-on benefits where we're doing like triple the amount of estimates because I don't have to drive 30 minutes in between appointments because they're on different corners of town. We have 5 minutes in between to take notes in our CRM, and then we moved it to the next one. So we're just cranking them out, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, it's been, even just the last couple of weeks, man, I don't know how many it's been, but it's like been almost 30 new customers we've brought on, and it's been all through the digital estimates. I feel like it's just been the perfect storm. We've been able to scale a lot faster doing that, and it's pretty awesome. So
yeah, it's been working great. So yeah, take that sort of question, like, what can you use the pandemic as an excuse to change that maybe you were holding up on? And I don't know, it's a thought exercise. Change some stuff, make it easier on yourself.
Absolutely. So guys, we're going to wrap it up, make this a little shorter than always. We sometimes go a little longer, but just remember, guys, get out there and hustle, do the work. If you want to get better results, if you're looking around and you're like, hey, why am I not where I want to be? Just look at the last 1,000 days and ask yourself if you've been putting in every ounce of effort, if you've been doing the extra work, if you've been pushing yourself, because now's the time, guys. You can't be relying on your local community to pull you through this. You really got to step up, and you got to put in more effort than you've ever put in. So think about, what is your pivot? What are you going to change in your messaging? What service are you going to change? And how are you going to start serving your customers even more when everyone else is panicking? So just some food for thought, guys. I think that's pretty much it. So guys, check out profitcleaners.com, check out the group. Again, leave us a review, hit that subscribe button, share it out there. Remember, guys, we're still doing the weekly masterclass. So profitcleaners.com/masterclass. We're sharing insider secrets to grow your cleaning business, get way more recurring customers, even during a pandemic. So we'll be talking more about that. And I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so keep it clean.
Keep it clean, guys.
Thanks for joining us today. To get more info, including show notes, updates, trainings, and super cool free stuff, head over to profitcleaners.com. And remember, keep it clean.